Ginger,
Hey,
hello.
how
How are you? Can you hear me okay?
I hear you fine. Do you hear me?
Yes, yes. Well, welcome to our very first Style Stories. I am so excited to have you here with me today.
Thank you. And I have to say, I think it's so cool that you're letting your hair go natural. It's going
Ah,
to be your way. It's going to be amazing.
thank
Totally.
you. Well, I'm certainly going to ask you for some
Oh,
tips.
I'm
So,
sure you won't need them. You always look great.
oh, well, welcome everybody to Style Stories. Today we are going to dive deep into the style secrets of stylish women around the world. And I'm your host, Michele Nidiffer, Master Style Coach, podcaster, and founder of StyleFinder Boutique. And today I am chatting with my beautiful guest, Ginger Burr. Ginger is an image consultant, which means style is in her DNA. And not only does she help her clients find their style, but she has great style herself. So today we're going to be diving into what makes Ginger's style hers. And so Ginger is the founder of Total Image Consultants. She's for more than 30 years, which is pretty incredible. She has brought clients more joy and more ease when getting dressed. And Ginger is also a vegan and mom to 6 rescue animals. And I have to say, a belated happy birthday, Ginger.
Thank you.
Because I saw that yesterday was your birthday, and that vegan charcuterie board that you had looked
I
amazing.
know, wasn't it it was such a delightful surprise. Loved it.
Well, it was beautiful. I'm sure it tasted incredible.
We're still working on it.
Yeah. So today I want to find out all your style secrets. So tell me, I have some specific things I want to ask about, but I want you just to describe to me, how would you describe your style? If you were telling a friend about your style, what words would you use?
Well, I love that you asked that, and I know it's important because you ask your clients the same types of things. And one of the things I work with my clients on, and I did myself originally years ago, is who am I? Because that influences what you want to wear and what feels good to you. So the words that I use, all of my clients have inner beauty words, and my very first one and the one that I never can be without is exquisite. It's a form, basically a form of elegance, always has to be there or I don't feel good in what I'm wearing. But I also have, to give you another example, I also have to have a bit of controlled fire. And I love that one because I once had this marketing guy I was working with, and we were talking. He says, fiery redhead. And I said, yeah. And then he got to know me a little bit. And he said, nah, you're English. You're controlled fire. I can't
I love
like
that.
too out of control. There has to be an elegance there, but also a little bit of fire.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's amazing. It's interesting. One word I've been resonating with recently, and I haven't really thought about it in terms of my style, but I think in terms of my interiors, I've been doing some decorating, and one thing that keeps coming up for me is eclectic. I'm like,
Mm.
okay, and I think that's it. It's like being a dramatic. It's like I want things off kilter a little bit, but I love that controlled fire. It's like, tell me more. What does that mean? What does controlled fire mean?
It, that I'm not going to do too many things all at once, and it's part of the reason that I can try to imitate what others are doing. But if there are too many busy pieces going on, if it's too eclectic for me, then it doesn't work. I can admire it. I love it on you. I mean, you wear those kimonos and look incredible. Most of those don't work for me for a number of reasons, but partly because a lot of them just have too much stuff
Mhm.
happen in them. You can see, I mean, I don't know if you can see my tank top that I'm wearing, but I love monochromatic for me with a pop of, here's my, well, the color, but also this necklace and the shimmer, controlled fire. For me, that gives a little oomph, but not over the top so that I
Right.
feel uncomfortable.
I love that. It's almost like classic with a little bit of a
Yeah,
something unexpected.
exactly.
That's that's perfect for you. And I see you doing your front porch catwalks. If you guys have followed Ginger on Instagram, if you don't, you totally need to. But she does this fabulous front porch catwalks, and you always have on some interesting combinations. I think interesting in that a lot of times they're unexpected,
Oh,
but
thank you.
they're also very, I mean, now that you say exquisite and controlled fire, I'm like, they're totally you. So they're great. They're beautiful. So let's dive into your style. So your style ID or your style words, your beauty, what do you call it? Your beauty statement, your
In
beauty word, inner beauty words. I love that. So exquisite controlled fire. What about signature colors for you, Ginger?
Well, orange. I definitely love orange. I love teal, although, as you probably noticed, it's hard to find these days. I don't know why they don't want to give us more teal, love greens. Those are, and I do some blues, but those are the colors that you'll see me in the most. And the ones, and plus then I can mix and match things, but I always feel great in those colors.
Yes. Well, I know orange is supposed to be super hot this fall, so you should definitely be seeing a lot more of that. But you know, it's interesting, and I don't know if you've had this experience, but I feel like a lot of my clients have told me, actually, I need to adjust my light a little bit. A lot of my clients have told me recently that they really want to be wearing like a deep green, like a deep evergreen, forest green. And so I'm touting that as my unofficial fall color, the unofficial
Yeah.
fall colors, because I am starting to see more and more of that. We're bringing more of that into the boutique. I don't know if you've seen that in the lines that you work with, but a lot of people are asking for that. And so I think manufacturers really need to start paying attention to what people want to wear and not just what is coming down the runways.
Tell me about it. You know, years ago, oh, probably 15 years ago or something, I would be shopping with a client and I say, okay, what are you looking for today? And they'd say, I'd love to add some of the green from my palette into my wardrobe. And I'd say, no, there's no green out here. You're not going to find green anywhere. I wish they should. So it's been so wonderful in the past few years to see more green coming in. And I agree with you, that sort of deep forest green,
Mhm.
it's amazing on almost everybody. It's such
Yes.
a beautiful color. And yes, designers, please make more. They're finally giving us brown. Hallelujah. So now
Yay.
green. Yes, I'm with you.
Yes, I am actually going to do a podcast coming up on browns because I think browns, in a lot of ways, I remember several years ago, browns were like the new
Yeah.
black, right? And they were everywhere, but I think they've kind of gone by the wayside. And so many of our clients have said, oh, I need browns in my palette, but I can't find it. Yeah,
It's back. That's nice, finally. So hopefully they'll continue that
right.
trend.
Right. Actually, I will ask you this while we're on the topic of color. If a client has their color palette and they know colors like for you, teal pops your eyes, it's such an amazing color for you. And if you have colors in your palette that you really want to wear, you have your heart set on, you know there's some of your best colors, but you can't find them, what do you recommend?
Well, basically what I tell them is keep looking, or I'll keep looking for them, depending. And focus on the colors that are in your palette right now that you can find. I remember years ago, because the colors will come back eventually. Years ago, I remember, I don't know, this was 5 or 6 years ago. My sister's also a redhead. And I called her one day and I said, Melissa, quick, go shopping. There's that rust color that we look great in. It's out there and it had not been around for forever. Go buy, shop. And so he said, buy it now because who knows how long it'll stay around. It's kind of stayed around, so it hasn't been that hard. But there are times where I tell people, when you see forest green, when forest green comes out and you see a lot of it, buy it, because you don't know when you will see it again and how long it will last. So I just tell them, if we can't find it, focus on other colors in your palette, but keep looking for that
Mhm.
color, because it will eventually, everything's cyclical, it will eventually come back, or somebody will show it. And sometimes what they need to do, as you know, is branch out, try other stores, talk to you and say, please, can you order some dark green, something, whatever it is that they're looking for. I mean, you have that advantage of being able to bring things into your store. So it's, you know, it can be tricky when you can't find a color you really want, but it will eventually come back.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I feel like you and I are on the same wavelength because that's exactly what I tell my clients. Now, what about your silhouettes, Ginger? You know, one thing that's really important to, you know, finding clothes that are right for you is knowing what your signature silhouettes are. Tell us about some of yours.
So I'm one of those people with my body shape that, and people won't think this to look at me. Everybody always says to me, oh, Ginger, you can wear anything. trust me, I cannot wear anything. And I do it, particularly in some of my classes show examples of how I can't wear anything, just anything. But I have narrow sloped shoulders. And so it's harder for me. That's one of the reasons kimonos are really hard for me. They tend to look droopy. Plus they sometimes, and if they're droopy, they then do not go with my inner beauty words at all. So I have to be really, I look better in something that has a set in sleeve, that's got a little more structure. I look great or feel comfortable. This doesn't really have a lapel, but kind of it does. I look good in collars. Things that for me, makes me more comfortable, gives my shoulders a boost and balances with my hips because my thighs are the widest part of my body. And I like to balance that. Not that I can't do, I mean, I can certainly do a halter top and then really accentuate that triangular shape. But when I don't often wear a halter top and I don't often go sleeveless. So when I wear a jacket or a top, I often want it to balance with my hips so that there's a nice, well, balance proportion there going on. So my body doesn't seem to fall into one of the traditional body shapes. So I kind of have to play with what makes me feel comfortable. And that's what I talk to my clients about. What parts of your body do you want to accentuate? Which parts do you want to kind of downplay? And then let's look at, because some people have narrow shoulders. That's great. Let's highlight the fact that I have these narrow shoulders. Everybody, or bust line, whatever. We all have to work with our bodies in a way that makes us feel comfortable.
Absolutely. Well, I've actually got the opposite problem. I've got like football player shoulders. But I know, growing up and figuring out my style, I couldn't wear a lot of things either. And I'm like, why does this make me look like a linebacker? But, I've come to embrace it now, the cold shoulder. I'm like, it's perfect for me. So
yeah, kimonos. I'm so envious of people who can wear those kimonos and just go, every time I see one of them, I'm like, oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. Now, how about some of your signature items? Maybe it's accessories, maybe it's jackets. What are some pieces that when you put on, you're like, yes, like this is just me?
Well, anyone who's followed me at all for any length of time knows, and these are relatively small earrings for me. I generally wear pretty big earrings, but because I've got more of a necklace on right now, I kept them, these are small. For some people, these would be big, but earrings are definitely a signature for me. I wear lots of them. And jackets, you'll see me in jackets frequently. And now that we're getting into fall, you'll almost always see me in some kind of a jacket. I don't do many cardigans, again, because they don't always give me enough structure in my shoulders for me to feel comfortable. And having that certain amount of control. Also, another one of my inner beauty words is seriously determined. And so structure for me is very important. And so jackets all the time. So, and I know you love these too. The Clara Sunwoo liquid leather. I have 3 of them. And I just wait. If she comes out with another color that works for me, I'll get it. But I wear those jackets all the time. But what I do, I put a little shoulder pad in mine to give it just that little bit more structure.
That's
Jacket,
a great secret.
yeah,
Yeah. That is a great secret. And I think this is really where, knowing your body, knowing your assets. I know you and I both have a very similar philosophy in terms of just, accepting your body and dressing for it. And when you can say, okay, maybe I do need a little lift here. Great. It's just going to make you feel more comfortable and help you to feel better in your style. So,
yes. And also, and I do this too, but also never say never. I think we have to be open to trying things sometimes, because I've had people say to me, oh, that style doesn't work. And I'm like, well, it's in a different fabric, a little different color. Just try it. You can take it off and go, yuck, I hate that. But just try it on, because things surprise me all the time when I put them on my body. But we can get boring and we can get into a rut. So unless you're feeling inspired all the time by what you're putting on, I think it's important to try new things.
Absolutely. And I think, one thing that I've found with my own style and with some of our clients is that, there are things that I would never have worn years ago, but then I put them on now and it's right now. Like cowboy boots, for one. I used to put cowboy boots on. I've always loved them, or cowgirl boots, I should say. I've always loved them, but I would put them on and they just felt big and clunky and chunky, and even the pointy toe, which, I need a pointy toe.
Me
And
too.
it just didn't feel right. But now I love them. Yes, try new things, Mature Beauty and Style. Try new things. It is, but it's all about experimentation. And I think reinventing things. And what I've seen come down the pipeline is that, some of the things that we saw years ago, maybe now it's come out, but it's got more stretch, or the cut's different, or it's a different style. And so it hangs better. Or maybe
Yes.
just our aesthetics change. So,
Yeah, and our bodies change. So something
for
that we
sure.
wouldn't have years ago might be our perfect silhouette, our perfect comfort level now. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes a huge difference. Now, one thing I did want to ask you is what have you seen remain a constant in your style? I know you've been a style coach or an image consultant for 30 years, and I'm sure before that you had a strong interest, but what's one thing that you would say, or a couple of things that have been consistent about your style?
Well, I guess one of the things I would say is I tend to wear, I mean, obviously jackets and earrings, those have always been my thing for a million years. But I also love jeans.
Hmm.
Now, when I was growing up, I didn't wear jeans. I didn't think they were comfortable. I went to an all-girls school. We couldn't even wear pants, never mind jeans. And so I didn't wear jeans until basically till stretch came out in them.
Hmm.
But now, once I discovered bootcut jeans, those are I mean, I know there was a little while when they weren't in and it was really hard to find them, but that was only a short while. But otherwise, I would say that a constant for me has really been a blazer, a top, necklace, earrings, a pair of bootcut jeans, and I like heels. I can still wear heels, so a heeled boot, I feel amazing. And really, I've been wearing that kind of a look, tweaking it as the trends change slightly, but
Uh-huh.
that's been a look of mine for many years.
I love that. I love that. And I mean, that's basically like, that's a great formula that's very classic. And then you can just kind of tweak the
Yeah.
colors and the shapes and put in some different shoes and do some different things. But you can definitely finesse that to always wear that.
Yeah. Yeah. I wear it a lot. You wouldn't believe how many pairs of jeans I have because different washes, different, flares, different colors.
Yeah.
I have a lot.
Yeah. Oh, we talked about jackets earlier. Do you have the liquid leather jacket in ruby?
No, it's not a good color for me, unfortunately, but I've already recommended it to a lot of my
Have you seen
clients.
it
Um,
in person? Because I think it's a good color for,
they don't always do a good job with their color resolution on their website. So maybe does it have a little more orange in it than it looks like it does?
it's a little more rusty than I think it appears online. So
Well,
I would recommend it.
yeah, yeah, that would be very interesting. And you probably have pull with them since I know you sell them. Get them to make a dark green one.
We're
We would all buy.
actually, we're actually having some conversations about having some pieces custom created just for StyleFinder.
Well,
So trust
let
me,
me know.
like
Yes,
teals and greens and
yes,
like all the good colors.
yes. Keep
Yes,
me posted on
I
that.
am the advocate for that. So we're in
Yeah,
talks right now. So
I'll bet
stay tuned.
you eat any.
Oh, what's one secret about your style, Ginger, that might surprise others?
um, well, I don't know how many people this surprises anymore, but I'm vegan.
Mm.
So I don't wear wool or silk or leather or down or fur. So, when I wear a jacket, it's part of the reason I love the liquid leather. It's not actually leather. When I wear a jacket, it needs to be cotton or a nice polyester or, the something like the liquid leather and the microfibers, those kinds of things. So for me, it's a little extra something I have to look for and be aware of when I'm purchasing things. But there's more and more options now. The world's heading in that direction anyway. So for me, that's been a big change. I mean, I've been vegan for a while, but it's a big change.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you're so committed. Like it's not just, a dietary choice, it's a lifestyle choice.
Oh, yeah, I do it for the compassion reasons.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, yeah. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. Otherwise, the fashion wouldn't be important because, the only reason I do it is to save the animals. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And so you have 6 animals. Tell us about your animals.
I have 6 cats. They're amazing. They're all fairly young. They're all under 8. I have one, my Wyatt, who has no back legs, and he is a powerhouse. I'll tell you, he can move fast. And we call our house the House of Stairs because we have 8 million sets of kitty stairs so that he can get up onto anything he wants to get up onto. But I've been a cat lady all of my life since I had Tinkerbell when I was 6 years old, and pretty much always had cats since then. And no, 6 is not too many. I love it. Maybe in my next life I will have a cat sanctuary, who knows? But for now, they're all rescues, so I take care of these wonderful 6 kitties. And when I'm home and like hanging out on my couch, I'm not wearing anything that can pick up cat fur. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have a rescue dog. My son really wants a cat, but I tell him I've been afraid they're going to tear up our couches. So I'm like,
you need climbers. You have to have the climbers. We have, 3 5 or 6 foot climbers around the house because they have to have somewhere to claw. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. All right, Ginger, let's switch gears a bit and talk about something that I think has been kind of a hot button issue for a lot of people lately. Age.
Yeah.
How does age? I did a podcast recently and it was called Am I Too Old to Wear That? Because a friend of mine texted me and she said, Am I too old to wear? She was actually talking about jeans that had like the rhinestones on the back pockets. Now, when she texted me, she was in Texas. And so I said, when in Texas? But it just really got me thinking about how many women have said that, have uttered that phrase. How many times I've thought it to myself. Tell me, just in a nutshell, what is your philosophy about age and style?
Well, having just turned 67 yesterday, which totally blows my mind, I have to say. Um, and this is something I've obviously been asked for a long time because of my age and my clientele, but I believe we should wear what makes us happy. And I think it's really rare that you're going to see someone, who's a little bit older. Right? I once had a client, she came to me, she was really funny. She was in her 40s and she said, I want to look sexy and alluring. She says, but I think I'm a little over the top. So we looked at what she was wearing and she was doing low cut, tight, and short, all in one outfit. And I said, you can do that, but obviously it's not feeling authentic to you anymore. And I said, how about just doing one of those things? Do just low cut and have the length be a little longer and not quite as skin tight. And so I think that we all have to do what feels right to us. I don't think there actually are a lot of do's and don'ts in that capacity. We have to look at what works for us. I have clients in their 70s who still wear skirts and above their knee and they look amazing. And so I think it makes me mad. And I've seen you do podcasts about what not to have in your closet, things like self-doubt and, all that kind of stuff, guilt. And I think it's true. I don't think we should compare ourselves to other people. We should do what feels right and comfortable to us and then own it. That's the important part. If you feel uncomfortable in it, you'll project that discomfort. If you feel like $1,000,000, you will project, confidence and your own natural beauty, and it'll all be amazing. So I think you should do what's comfortable to you and not what somebody has assigned you because of your age.
Boom. Love that. Totally agree. That is absolutely true. Everything, it's interesting because I remember when I was 40 when I became a style coach. And I remember my philosophy, people would ask me over the years, I'm like, okay, well, at 40, at 30, you should wear this, and 40, you should wear this, and at 50, you should. And then I turned 50. I'm 55 now. And then I realized we can wear whatever the hell we want to wear. There are no
yes.
rules. And I think honestly, what I've found and what I've seen is it almost seems as if the older we get, like some people kind of go this way. Like some people, the older we get, it's like they get a little more toned down, more conservative. Some people are like, let's turn up the heat a little bit more.
Yeah.
Let's, color our hair, cut our hair, wear more jewelry, and so it's interesting to see that, radical departure from, either radical departure or radical like shift, like, ooh. And then I remember interviewing someone, she was from Italy on my podcast. She's a beautiful Italian image consultant. And she said that in Italy, and I think this is probably true in the US, but she said in Italy, women feel that once they turn 40 or 50, that they should hide.
Ooh.
They should be hidden.
Ooh.
I
No.
know. I'm like, that just feels awful.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so we need to like encourage women to get out there and just be your authentic selves and just,
And don't sayers. There are a couple things that I'd love to say about that. One is a couple of years ago, I had on an Eva Varo one shoulder top and in a beautiful rust color. And I wore it in one of my front porch catwalks. And this woman said to me, wrote in my Facebook page, "That's not professional. You shouldn't be wearing that." I'm like, what? All right, whatever. I mean, I ignored her completely because I felt really great. And I knew it looked good on me. And I wasn't going to, I wasn't in a profession where that would be inappropriate in some way. I don't know. I don't even know what profession that might be, but maybe you're working with finances or something and you're having a meeting with someone for the first time, you might not want to wear a cold shoulder. But I just thought, really? Years ago, one of my favorite books was How to Win Friends and Influence People. And the biggest thing I took away from that is do not criticize others. Do not. And I always believe we should give no unsolicited advice at all. So it was, and now I've just forgotten what the other thing was I was going to mention, but if it comes back to me, I'll let you know. But that one really, if I had been insecure about how I looked or what I was wearing, I would have thought, oh, as you said, I need to slink back. I need to not expose my shoulders, really. But I didn't feel that way. I just thought, okay, whatever, she can have her opinion.
Right. Right. And I think, Ginger, I think you just touched on like the key is that when we feel confident in who we are and how we're showing up, it does not matter what other people say about us, what they think about us. Thank you for sharing.
Right.
People are always going to have an opinion. People are always going to be talking about other people, right? But I think it's when we are so secure in what we're wearing and we know, hey, you know what? I put this on because it felt good to me. And if somebody else doesn't like it, then that's their issue.
Yeah.
It's not your issue.
That reminds me, the other thing I wanted to say, because this is so important, and I bet you deal with this all the time too. I'll have women come to me and say, oh, somebody said to me, why are you so dressed up? And I thought, really? Really? And it's about them. It's because they're feeling insecure. You're not inappropriate in any way. It's another form of criticism that I really think it's driving me crazy that that's so okay out there to say that. Let people wear what they want to wear. We're not saying to that person, why are you so dressed down? So wear what makes you happy. And when you do, as you know, you won't care two things will happen. First of all, you won't care what anyone else says. And secondly, for the most part, people will pick up on your own sense of self-confidence and they're not going to question you because they're picking up that you feel amazing. So it's one of the things lately that really drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. And I see more and more women on Instagram, they'll comment on our posts about, my eyebrows or what I'm wearing or something, or a style of cardigan. I'm like, there was one style of cardigan I posted in a certain post and women were just tearing it up. I'm like, do you know how many people love this cardigan and how many people it really looks good on? And I just thought it was so interesting because some people were saying, oh, that's out of style. I'm like, interesting, because there are a lot of things that are out of style that I see people wearing all the time that, it's all relative.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
it's just fascinating to me. So speaking of in style or out of style, what are some of the trends you're loving this fall?
Absolutely. And again, I think the anonymity to a certain extent of social media lets people feel more comfortable saying mean, hateful things. And personally, I think if you don't like it, just move on. or go look at a different post, or wait till the next outfit comes out, or whatever. We don't need you pulling women down and tearing women down. Stop it. Stop it.
But I will say sometimes I think they're bots. I think there are bots that go around and make these negative comments.
That's really creepy. Yeah, that's awful.
It is. But like, okay, it's probably not even a real person. Or if it is a real person, it's probably somebody who's just not happy with themselves and they're just projecting.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
So, yeah. Yeah. So what are some of the hot trends you're loving for the season, for fall?
Oh, some of the hot trends. Let me just think here. Well, brown is definitely one of the hot trends. I also really love that metallics. They've been sticking around. They were out last fall, this spring. Now we're even seeing, you've probably seen them. We're even seeing cowboy boots that are in like a silver. And you know, but it's not shoes. What'd you say?
I want some.
I didn't hear what you said.
Would love to. I want some.
Yeah,
They're on my way.
they're so cool. And they have metallic pants. Now, I don't really have a place right now to wear metallic pants, but they even have like rose golds, not just silver. I mean, I think it's really a fun trend. I love that faux fur it's continuing to gain momentum, and it's everywhere right now, little bomber jackets in faux fur. So I think there are some really fun trends. I have to say, one of the trends I'm not that wild about, I don't know who's going to wear it, and I'm actually not even seeing it out there that much, are the legged denim.
Oh,
I don't know what that
barrel leg.
barrel leg. Oh,
barrel leg.
yeah,
It's
like okay.
like that.
I'm looking forward to seeing somebody really rock that style. I've only seen it on the runway, so I'm not sure it's going to make it into the mainstream stores, but like really.
It's maybe on like the streets of Paris or streets of New York.
Yeah.
You'll see that probably, but
worthy and all of that, but yeah. Not gonna.
But I am glad. What's your opinion? What's your take on skinny jeans?
Okay, it's a really interesting one because there's a lot of, as you can see, polarization out there about it. I really think they're, at this point, kind of classic. I think they're just going to be around, and women who feel comfortable wearing them and like them are going to wear them. And it's not that they're not on trend right now, but they're not like so out that you can't wear them still. So and a lot of women have them in their closets. So why not wear them if you feel comfortable still wearing them?
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember you talking about, you mentioned earlier when they came out, well, you didn't say that, but when boot cuts went away, I think it was when skinny jeans came out and nobody did anything else.
Right.
I remember shopping for some clients who were built similar to you, and we went everywhere. And I think it was Coldwater Creek was like the only place we could find anything that was close to a bootleg or boot cut. So
I like the variety. This is what we should always have. I don't know why it has to be an all or nothing, like now high rise, then only low rise. I'm like, no, give us a variety. Different body shapes prefer different ones, different just personalities prefer different styles, and the leg shapes and lengths, please just give us a variety. Yeah, I'm with you. It's crazy when they tell us so we all have to wear a certain design. If they ever go back to only all low rise, I'm not rise. I'm just not. They up on me when I was a teenager and they were hip huggers. They didn't work on me then. Certainly aren't working on me now.
I don't think they work on women who have curves.
Yeah, they're tough. They are. They're very tough. Yeah.
Yes. Ginger, what's the best advice you could share with somebody who's just either trying to rediscover their style or just finding their style for the first time?
Well, there are two things that I think it's important to keep in mind. One is know what colors look amazing on you, because it just makes shopping easier. It makes pulling things together in your wardrobe easier. You don't have to look at everything. It makes shopping easier because you don't have to look at everything that's in the store. And never, ever, ever settle for good enough. If you put something on and you aren't going, oh, wow, this is so great, I can't wait to wear this, do not buy it. do not buy it. We all only need a certain number of clothes in our closet. And so make sure that all the clothes that are in there are things that you love and you want to wear. When you settle for good enough, and if you do that enough times, you'll end up with a wardrobe that's just good enough. And that will never, ever make your heart sing. And if you don't know how to find better than good enough, that's where someone like you and I can help people to be able to identify that, so you don't end up only wearing, 10% of what's in your closet.
Yeah.
I see people for good enough all the time, and then they're not happy. And I've also had some of my clients who have worked with me, and I'm sure you've had the same experience, where they send me an email saying, I just went shopping and I walked out with nothing. Yay! Because in the past, I would have made myself buy something because I just spent an hour or whatever it was shopping. Don't do that. Don't ever do that.
That is a game changer for sure. Yeah. And I think when you settle for good enough, how does it make you feel? It makes you feel good
Yeah,
enough.
exactly.
Or like you're not good enough, or that you don't deserve what's really right for you.
Yes.
Hold out for the best you can get.
Yes.
Right.
I had another one. She was in my class. She was really funny. And I encourage women to send in pictures, and we talk about, what works and what doesn't. I answer their questions. And this one woman showed this picture, and she said, what do you think? And I said, well, the fit of it is just beautiful on you. I said, it's not the color I would have chosen for you. It was gray. And she said, well, it only came in two colors, black and gray, and I had to choose one. I said, there's a third option. Like, don't buy it, and look for that cut in another color. And so sometimes it means expanding your, idea of what works on you, or places you're shopping, or styles that you haven't explored before. So it's just, we never have to settle for good enough. Nobody ever has to settle for good enough.
Amen to that. Ginger, where can we find more about you?
Oh, my website is there, totalimageconsultants.com. And then you can find me all over social media on Ginger Burr, Burr. I'm everywhere there. So yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being here, being our very first Style Story guest.
Oh, it's always fun to talk with you. Thank you so much, Mary Michele.
This has been great. Ladies, if you all have any questions for me or questions for Ginger, do you want to see if anybody has any questions real quick?
Oh, I'm happy to.
Have time. We'll do a quick Q&A. If anybody has any questions, just put them in the chat. And there, hold on. Well, it's going to say, we'll give it a minute or two. If you have a quick question for Ginger, would like to ask her, then feel free to put your question in the chat and we will get to it. Otherwise, definitely go follow Ginger on Instagram at Ginger Burr, and watch her front porch catwalks.
Oh,
Now, are you still working with Cabby clothing?
I do. Yeah, it's a fun kind of little side thing for me, because I like the little tank top I have on right now is Cabby. So yeah, it's a fun line. I've enjoyed what they have there.
Yeah, I have a few pieces and love them.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. They do nice work, and different from what you see other places. Always nice to have a few things that are different. So yeah.
For sure. All right. Audrey is asking, any advice for a slightly overweight petite?
So that's a really big question.
Audrey, can you be more specific?
I know it can feel harder to find. I'm shopping for a petite client right now, and it can be harder to find those things. And you definitely want to start with petites, and sometimes it can mean looking for, if your body has changed a little, it can mean looking for things that maybe styles you hadn't been wearing before. But also, sometimes regular sizes can work now. Like right now, there are a lot of crop jackets out there that don't work for someone who's taller and needs a little bit more. So I find oftentimes petites get so focused on only looking at petites that they miss some other possibilities that, and make sure that you just wear beautiful colors, things that bring focus you know, up to, I believe this for everybody anyway, this is our area of self-expression up here in our head. We want to bring the focus up. So, and the other thing I find is that, I mean, she mentioned overweight. I don't know exactly what that means for her or how she feels, and obviously feels a little uncomfortable in her body, but don't have things that are too voluminous. I often find that, and I'm sure you do too, that when women feel uncomfortable in their body because their body has shifted a little or their weight has changed a little, they tend to go with too much fabric. And particularly if you're petite, you'll just drown in fabric. So keep things a little shorter and skimming the body and focus up to the neck and face. Those are just sort of very broad ideas, and you may have, Mary Michele, you may have some as well to share.
Sure. Actually, Mature Mature Beauty and Style says a good tailor will help, and absolutely. Yes. I think, you know, it's interesting. A couple of the questions that I get asked about a lot, and you might as well. But a lot of petite women feel like they can't wear maxi dresses or palazzo pants.
Yeah.
And you know, my take on it is they can wear anything they want to, as long it's all about proportion.
Yeah. It's all about how the pieces you put with it, the length of the maxi dress, the length of the pants, how wide are those things, the style of them, the colors, the print. I mean, all that kind of stuff. You're absolutely right. Anybody can wear pretty much anything if they want to. It's just how you put it all together. You're totally right.
For sure. Somebody's asking, were you always a stylist?
Now that's the true secret here. You, in the introduction, you had mentioned that, you know, style was in my DNA. Well, it was there, but it was really buried. I'll tell you, so many women will say to me, you know, when I was in my 20s, I could just throw anything on and I felt great. I could not just throw anything on and feel good. Never, never. And so I was not always a stylist, but I always had an interest. However, I was also a teenager in the 70s. I still think the 70s were one of the ugliest decades in fashion history that ever existed. And I had to live through that. And the world was different. There were no makeover TV shows. There were no, you know, even the fashion magazines, we didn't get them in my house. You know, we didn't go and hang out at the mall. There wasn't an internet, so it was harder to learn about fashion. And I struggled, so I had to learn what I now teach my clients. And so I finally found somebody who could teach me the tools that I needed in order to make really good choices. Like, how do you wear palazzo pants and not feel like you're drowning in fabric? And, you know, all of those kinds of things. So I was not born, obviously, a stylist, but I had a great desire. And once I started to learn it, I picked it up really fast and loved doing it. And the most important thing for me was that I saw it as a way to empower women, because I had felt so many times disempowered when I would go somewhere and think, no, am I wearing the right thing? I don't know if this feels right on me. And I didn't want to feel that way anymore. I didn't want other women to feel that way. So it's kind of a long answer to you know, have I always been a stylist? No.
Maybe you had this like latent interest, but you just took a while to figure it out. So, well, that's great. All right. Any last questions for Ginger? Otherwise, go check out Ginger on Instagram and watch her front porch catwalks. Go follow her at totalimageconsultants.com and reach out to either of us if you have any more questions. Ginger, thank you so much. Have a beautiful day, and I will look forward to talking again soon.
Thank you. You too.
Take care. Bye-bye.